And we're back in the hobby shop. We'll move on to other comic book movies. Just real quick, we'll fire this out. X-Men Days of Future Past. Really kick-ass movie. It is the first X-Men movie that really, truly feels like an X-Men movie. To the point where you can almost see the pages being turned. That's how faithful it is. It has its own continuity, and it has its own world set up already. It's not exactly like the comic books, but this one feels like something out of the comic books. It's a lot more over the top, a lot more comic bookish, which I love at this point. We've gotten to the point where comic book movies don't have to shy away from that anymore. We've gotten to the point to where they can actually be like the comic books, and people are not, and people will accept them. Few notes in that movie is you have the young Xavier and the young Magneto, played by the same actors from First Class, who killed it as those characters. Their chemistry is still as solid as it was in First Class. Again, Hugh Jackman, great as Wolverine, probably the best man who ever could play Wolverine. It'd be kind of sad when he can't play the character anymore and they try to use somebody else.
Yeah.
Someone dinky, wimpy, and just loser.
I'm sure they could find somebody who could be a good Wolverine. Probably not as good as.
How about Justin Bieber?
I'm still not 100% sure who that is, but
That was a joke.
some singer, I think.
Well, they wanted
Who
to
knows?
play Robin in the new movie, and that's why I said
Oh God.
Justin Bieber is like, okay.
No, he's like a singer or something.
He's like the
right?
pop idol right now. They're
He's like the Aaron Carter
Yeah,
today,
let's
right?
stop giving him
And
any publicity.
I hate him.
I don't know anything square one about him, so
Let's move on.
Move on.
Yeah, move on. He's not even worth talking about.
Anyway, X-Men Days of Future Past, they have some really cool scenes. The ending to it, I don't want to spoil it, but the last arc of this movie is so good, so well done. I can't even put it into words. It's just see the fucking movie. It's a great movie. You can kind of hear how excited I am just talking about it. It is a really good movie. If you're not an X-Men, you might not care for it, but beyond that, it's still a really cool movie. It's still a really, really good movie, really well acted. The writing is very good, except for certain spots, like for some reason Kitty Pryde can send people back in time. That makes no sense. Some random new mutant you could have introduced. One thing I did hate is how they used Bishop. The way they used Bishop kind of pissed me off. If you weren't going to send him back in time, why was he in the movie? I guess because they have to throw him in there somehow. They could have done more with Bishop. I really wish they would have. But, you know what, as it is, it's still a good movie. So, if I would have to give it like a rating or something, I would say probably 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, depending on what you're looking for. Well, we're done with X-Men, so we'll move on to probably the next big movie that really submitted comic book movies into the mainstream, and that would be The Dark Knight. Now, I've not seen all 3 of the Dark Knight movies, but I have seen the first 2.
Well, as far as the first 2, you pretty much you can stop at the first 2. The Dark Knight Rises isn't really that great of a movie.
I say just watch The Dark Knight. Beginning is not really worth it.
Only because of one actor. The Joker.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought you were saying the first
Beginning.
movie.
No.
Okay, second movie, duh. Okay. I should have thought. Should have figured it out. Hey, moving on.
Well, as far as The Dark Knight, it's just a great movie. I mean, setting aside Batman and stuff, it's a great movie. It's always got these twists and turns. You think you're near the end, and then it's got this whole other thing, but in a good way. It's a fantastic movie. It's action-packed. It's got twists and turns, suspenseful. It's awesome.
The Joker definitely is what steals the show in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But then just still, it's soul.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the most remembered thing of the show.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you could have just
That
named it
and
the
the
Joker.
very bad voice acting for Batman.
Oh God. I'm not gonna shit on
He's already got too much satire.
Christian
People
Bale.
already
I'm
do
not
it.
gonna shit on him. I get what he was trying to go for. He was trying to be menacing, and the man's just not that menacing.
Well, he was trying to be menacing to the light guy because the light guy was always in the shots.
Yeah, it's just like I've never seen him actually pull off being scary or menacing. The actor, and he was in American Psycho, wasn't he?
Yes, I watched
And even that one, he's not that scary.
I laughed through most of the movie. I mean, it's supposed to be this horror movie that's like, oh, it's so dramatic, and I'm like, Christian Bale. I'm sorry, yes, he pulls off the kind of wacko psycho thing, but it's comedy in a way. It's not
At that
scary.
point, you just should have just casted Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, you should have.
Nicolas Cage is a subject for another episode.
Yep.
All right. Now a few other things. I like how they did Two-Face, but I didn't like that they just kind of tacked him on. But what they did with him was well done. I just wanted more of that.
My main thing with Two-Face was I liked the way they did him, like the way they brought into him. I didn't like the fact he didn't have a split personality. When I think about Two-Face, that's what I think about is the split personality.
But maybe it wasn't as apparent. Maybe it would have been more downplayed, and that's how I would have done it. I would have downplayed.
Yeah, I would have downplayed it. They didn't have to make it as blunt in your face, but they could have at least had him talking to himself a little bit. Kind of showing him going a little insane.
A little bit, just a small little scene where he, like, you can even have him like stop and think. He could be thinking in his head, and he could have said a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Now, personally, my favorite portrayal of, and I basically can say this with every Batman character, from Batman the Animated Series from the early 90s.
Yeah.
I recently watched the episode Two-Face, the two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
It is masterfully done, and you really feel for Harvey Dent, because they established how he was before he was Two-Face, and I think they had like 6-7 episodes before he was Two-Face.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I think they did a good job in this movie. I love the scene with the Joker and Harvey in the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
where he's like telling him he's basically saying, "I'm going to, deal a little bit. I'm going to give the city a little bit of chaos."
I'm an agent of anarchy.
And of course, there's so many lines the Joker says that you can quote. But probably hands down, he's probably the scariest Joker.
Definitely.
Hand down.
Because he's the Joker that I always wanted to see. Joker is always too kooky and corny, when the Joker is actually supposed to be a very dangerous person. This Joker sold that beautifully. Like, the thing I loved about that was, the pencil scene. Want to see a magic trick? He shoves the pencil, ta-da! That to me was like, okay, this is a new Joker. This is the way the Joker should be. Just psychopathic, but still magic
It's not my favorite Joker. My favorite Joker, still hands down. No, I will argue this all day long. The best Joker is Joker from the animated series, because they managed to mix all those Jokers at the time.
Is everything better in the animated series?
But in animated series, you have more, like, space.
Yeah, they have
Right,
a
yeah,
constant
you
You
element
have
of
to
it.
actually act
But
it
they
out,
nailed
you have
him.
to keep
But
it
they
going
nailed
like
him.
that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. They nailed him perfectly in the first episode, so they kind of had it from the beginning. Of course, but I get what you're saying. They had more time to expand on the character.
They had a lot of room.
It's a series, it's not a movie, so they don't have a 2-hour limit of what they're trying to do.
I just think that is the perfect Joker, but out of the movies, this is the best Joker in the movies. I love the Jack Nicholson Joker, but this one's all around better.
He's just creepier and he's unpredictable.
Yeah. Anyway, the movie is well shot, much better than the first one, where they used a lot of shaky cam because that was the thing at the time.
Yes, that was, whole shaking everywhere action scenes. I hate that.
Everything was zoomed in and shaking all over the place. You couldn't see what was happening.
I don't know who thought it was a good idea.
The concept behind that whole thing was, this is what it'd be like in a real fight. You're close up, you can't see anything. It's all instinct.
But the thing is,
It's
you're
a
not.
movie.
You're watching.
And I want to see the cool fight moves. I want to be able to see them and absorb them.
Now, I am not a big fan of you have to darken everything up, and I don't like the whole Nolanizing all the DC movies. I kind of want the more fantastical silliness of the DC universe. So I'm not overall a big fan of them darkening the DC universe, but as a standalone movie, it works for this. Of course, there is some silly, goofy things that happens in the Batman universe, but as you know, for this one movie where they set up a realistic Batman, now it's not totally realistic. There's still some goofy shit in this movie. It's not entirely believable, but it's the closest thing to a realistic Batman movie we're probably ever going to get. So I appreciate it for that route. The only thing I have to say is I hate the Batmobile. I hate that fucking Batmobile. They just ruined one of the coolest things about Batman. At least we get to see that piece of shit blow up.
I will agree with the fact that I was never that crazy with the Batmobile. I do, however, love the Batcycle.
The Batcycle's cool. I like it.
That is just awesome with its 90-degree turns and all the stuff it can do. But as far as the Batmobile, I love the whole old school Batman mobile with the little baby bottle nipple on the front.
I'm a big fan of it.
It looks like that. That's what I used to call it as a kid.
My favorite Batmobile had to be from the first movie. You guys thought I was going to say the animated series.
Yeah, I really was expecting that.
Yep.
I never liked how it basically looked like a box on wheels. But it's dramatic. It's dynamic too. I do like how it kind of bends with the roads and all that. It looks cool to watch in animation. But I love the 1989 Batmobile. Of course, I have a fondness for the 60s one, but that's me personally.
Yeah, that's different subject, different type of thing, but it's still cool.
This though is just way too obsessive to be the Batmobile.
Well, because it's a military infiltration vehicle. It's.
And I understand it's going with that realistic vibe because this is a vehicle that really exists.
Yes.
But by the time oh god, that's one of the things that made me scream during Dark Knight Rises when they brought it back. They didn't bring back the Batmobile.
No, but they had a whole just slew of the other tumblers.
Yeah, it's oh god, they're ugly.
To me, the Batmobile is like they just took, let's just pick this kind of warthogish vehicle, and let's just slap the Batmobile little booster on the back of it. That's to me what they did. Like Halo Warthog, like some big vehicle like that.
Oh,
let's just pick something cool like this could be painted black. Slap the Batmobile booster on the back, and it's the Batmobile.
Yeah.
And jet black.
So where would he buy all his equipment and all this stuff?
In the Batman movies, he gets it all from Wayne Tech.
Yeah, his own company develops all of it.
It's experimental equipment that basically they didn't have. Nobody wanted to pay the money to fund this and get it distributed. His suit is an infiltration suit for soldiers, but it would cost I think it was supposed to be $30 million for one suit or something.
Time's up. We're going to keep going. We want to
So,
this down anyway.
It's just one of those things. So, that's where he gets all his equipment from.